Right, so what we have here is that you have been in environments, possibly with family or friends, people, places and things. It could be work, it could be karmic, twin flame, high level soulmate, and you've been under an illusion. That's why the moon is out here. And you've had a lot of shadow, like shade around you, fear around you, because you were around people that hadn't accepted their shadow and they were basically giving it to you. You have now, hopefully, you're stepping away from this, or at least realizing what's been going on here. For a long time, you perhaps didn't see how mean the situation was, but you will accept more blessings. It'll be clear, the road will be clearer for you when you let this go, or at least distance yourself if you can't, because ultimately you were around people that wanted you to feel weak and powerless, possibly for years, because they in fact felt weak and powerless. And Spirit's asking you not to feel bad, to ground yourself, recognize what's happened here. And it's fear. It's basically fear. You're around people that lived in fear and not love, and you probably operate more from your love space. And perhaps you always knew this, because I'm feeling the energy of somebody who was very intuitive anyway, if not full-blown psychic and has all the clairs, but you didn't, your heart space was filtering all of it. So you were sort of perhaps in this energy of like, everyone's fallible, no one's perfect, and that is true. No one's better than anyone else, that is true. But also it's about finding the right environment for you where you can nourish and grow and fulfill your mission. And what was happening is you were accepting possibly even emotional abuse at the expense of having that sort of gentle, kind nature. But you've now exited the 3D matrix. You probably got your spirit team or yourself or your higher self, however you resonate, got tired of accepting this shade, this shadow, this fear, this meanness, and actually you trying to reinterpret constantly that it's not that mean, even though, hopefully it wasn't physically, but you were taking hit after hit after hit. And I'm hearing for years. And the fact that karmic family is here, it doesn't have to be family. It could be people that were so close you considered family, but it was close to you and it was seeping into you, and possibly ruining your self-worth. And spirit or your higher self got tired and wanted you to turn this upright and realize, no, it is mean. What was happening here, if not full right emotional abuse. Perhaps it was a case of, hopefully, and obviously I never condone any kind of violence or emotional abuse of any kind, but perhaps it was a bit more subtle than something you've experienced in the past. So you weren't being hit and beat up, but emotionally you were, and that could become in the form of breadcrumbing, silence when you actually needed someone. And I'm hearing it was more deliberate than you wanted to see, but I do think you do see it now because the moon is out here, and I think it's because you are sort of pretending to yourself that it wasn't as bad as it was. But the more you leave this energy behind you, the more you're going to see how sort of fear-based it was. But I've got stand your ground here, so that's possibly the energy you're in now, and if you're not in it yet, you will be. Please allow the messages to fly out that I need to know the most. Yeah, so this all was stemming from abandonment issues, exactly, and you're going into your new life. You're leaving this behind. This chapter is closed. You learnt the lessons. You found your own gentle heart, which was that I don't think you wished anybody bad. I don't think you let go in love, and that doesn't mean that you always just think back, of the situation so fondly and, like so loving and so thankful for the lesson. If you do, that's great, but you are allowed to be human, have moments where you feel hurt, possibly even angry, but it will move. But try to stay in that vibration of knowing it was a lesson and you learned it. And some people go lifetimes, and do not learn these kind of lessons, and you did it. You could have been around people that were into materialism. Perhaps you naturally attract some kind of materialism, or there's something about you that I'm hearing does dominate some worldly culture. So perhaps you receive attention, or you get opportunities, or something of the worldly, and these people possibly didn't like that aspect. And it's probably because if you're not that in, if that's not your main goal, and you are sort of just naturally accepting it, of course people are going to be mean, because when you're working on that 3D fear-based, shadow-based energy, people assume that's going to make you happy, that's everything will be fine then, everything like this. It's an illusion, a worldly illusion that's sort of cast up amongst humans, unless they do wake up and realize it's an inner job. Happiness is, you can have all the riches in the world, and that doesn't guarantee anything. It's an inside job. That's why we have monks that have nothing and have more contentment than most. Right, so please allow the messages to fly out that I need the collective and God's will to help them with their journey. Yeah, so you're around people that were withholding, and they're essentially karmic and draining for you. Don't know if you can see. Can you see it when I'm doing that? Yeah, and you have archangels and golden light in your path, around you, on your mission, and you're essentially dealing with people that were cruel. That doesn't mean that these people are always cruel. It doesn't mean that they are full-blown karmic, but with your frequency and your mission, that's what they represent in your story. And it doesn't mean that these people are evil, but put it where it fits. It just means that they were draining for you because you'd learnt the lesson, and you were wanting to hold on, even though they weren't holding, they were withholding, and you were holding on. And you have hopefully, and if you probably more than likely going to step away from this. Just be aware, karma is very likely to hit them now, because you're not holding hands with them. That you're sort of taking your protection with you. Karma can be quite a scary word, I think, but we all receive karma. We actually come down here and sign up for karma. Especially if you're an older soul, you usually sign up for a harder life, which is karma, and you clear up that debt for your bloodline, or you're just actually quite fearless and you sign up for it because you know that God is real, that higher power is real, and everything is safe. When you're on the other side of Rainbow Bridge. But what's happening here is that karma is lessons. So try not to, I know there are some people that really revel in the idea, like, yeah, I hope they get karma. And maybe, whoever I'm speaking to, there's moments you do that too. That it's human to an extent, but that's still quite fear-based. Allow yourself to feel those feelings, don't deny them, but try to move through it. Whoever I'm picking up onto today, I don't really feel like that's your energy, but maybe I'm supposed to tell you you're allowed to think that sometimes, for a moment here and there, but we all get lessons, and that is what karma is. And all it is to try and get us closer and closer and closer to ourselves, so we can become closer and closer to the light, and we can get closer and closer to our mission. So I'm seeing I Miss You and I Miss You here's come out twice. So you've got somebody in your energy field, possibly a few people if you let them go, and they're missing you because you've taken your energy with you. And if this hasn't happened yet, it's more than likely it's going to. But Spirit wants you to know it's okay to let people go, people, places and things go. This is the only reason why this situation had been going on for years. It was possibly draining you, and it was because you were possibly feeling like you owed them something more than they owed you, even though it wasn't fulfilling to you. I think it's, you're probably getting breadcrumbs here and there, and you're like, yeah, they're delicious, like they've got olive oil on them and they're yummy, and actually it wasn't feeding you, it wasn't nourishing you. So spirit, or your higher self, or you, have taken yourself out of the way, and you now people can miss you in a way they couldn't before, and that could simply just be their karma. So spirit wants you to know it's bye old life, and we saw new life underneath there. So that's where you are. Please allow the messages to fly out, spirit, for the highest good of all and God's will. Okay, so you could be stepping into a job offer, and I'm hearing, if it's not a job offer, it could be you're doing a project, you're stepping into, you're just finding your creativity again. You're listening to what your mission is. So that could be in the form of a job offer, but it could be many things. But it's something new. But I saw the jealousy card flip upside down. When I was shuffling these, and before I came on, it was flashing out a lot. And I think what's Spirit's asking me to tell you is that these people needed to be out of the way when this project offer happens, so it doesn't taint it, so it doesn't lower your frequency, so you can do this without telling somebody on the phone and you just hear the energy drop, because you're very sensitive, especially if you're an intuitive. You feel everything, you see everything, you feel everything, you dream things, you smell things, like it, because you're tapped in, exactly. And jealousy's popped out again, so there we are. Yeah, you could possibly be gifted, maybe on the 3D plane, but also with spiritual gifts. Yeah, so Spirit wants you to still be in this energy. If these people, they miss you so much, they contact you, but you could have very well blocked people just whilst you're in this energy of listening to your higher self, spirit, or whatever you want to call it. So Spirit wants you to stay in that energy of no more chances. I'm hearing they had enough time. 1111 is here, so you're definitely on a spiritual mission. Please allow the messages to fly out that I need to know the most, please. Yeah, so you found peace, and I think that is your main goal. And Spirit, if it's not, Spirit wants you to place that at the head of your altar, the head of your priorities, to find peace. And if you haven't already, but you deserve it, and it's a very high frequency peace. Do resend things back to sender when you feel them, blessed and transmuted. And call your energy back to you, blessed and transmuted. Perhaps that's something you've been doing, spiritual baths, just to protect your frequency that you have. Please allow the messages to fly out that I need to know the most, please. Okay, so something with America could be coming up. You could be American, or something to do with America. Maybe the job offer is something to do with there, or it's in your future or your past. It's just it could be resonate with you somehow. Yes, the Spirit wants you to know you did what's best for you, and what's best for you is right, as long as you're not hurting anyone. And by the way, when you close doors, that isn't hurting people. That's contract ending. You don't owe anyone an open door, especially if they're barely coming in, or they're just throwing breadcrumbs in there. Okay, so tell me more, please, Spirit. Yeah, so you've got somebody in your energy field. Could be a Pisces, or just somebody's in their emotions. And star signs don't really matter, but they can be a little bit indication of what's going on. But it's in one of your energy fields, and it's in your orbit. Things are reminding them of you, and these people just didn't believe that you would leave. It could be a romantic situation here, because we can see player, but I have a feeling if that was going on, it was also, you had maybe that going on, and you had people playing in your energy, playing on your good nature, playing on your weak spots, your blind spots, something like that. Yeah, so God, your higher self, power, higher power, you know, whatever your beliefs are, wanted to help you block this energy because they didn't actually mean you well at the heart of it. They lived in fear, so they couldn't possibly really truly want what's best for you. And now you've got a circle of protection around you, and that's easier for this circle of protection from your archangels and golden lights who actually take place when you stop holding hands with things that actually don't mean you well. Because in some ways what you're doing is you're saying to the universe, whoever you're holding hands with, metaphorically of course, but it could be physically, you're basically saying, I want this too for myself. And if those people don't truly want what's best for you, you're signaling to the universe, yeah, I want this too. And obviously that can't always work in your favor, and often you can actually take on other people's karma, especially if you're a light worker and you've been here many times before. But just by doing as you are, and now that you're stepping away from this energy, you've actually taught these people transformation. And if they're not in that energy yet, one day they will be. They will look back on this and realize that's what you've done here. Please allow the messages to fly out with God's will for the highest good of all, to help me channel the messages. Yeah, so there's a lot of blocking energy here. So perhaps you are physically blocking people, but Spirit just really wants to hone in on the fact that you're allowed to do that. Perhaps for a long time you felt like you just weren't allowed. You weren't allowed to stand your ground. Your heart was bigger than your sense in some ways. But Spirit's asked you to learn the art of discernment, and that's either where you have been or that's where you're going. Please allow the messages to fly out. So we've got Virgo here, so you could have been dealing with somebody that's quite worldly, or you could just be in this sort of hermit mode at the moment where you're isolated, which would or you know, deliberate isolation, and that could very well be true, because you know, if you're letting all this sort of energy go to recalibrate, it's very often going to be in a sort of a hermit mode, an isolation mode to do so. And if you can't do that, I think you're being called to find as much sort of alone time as you can, just to allow this healing to take place. Okay, so we've got somebody, now you've let this energy go, they see you in higher esteem, they want the next level of connection with you. It says, I want you as my wife. It could be a new energy coming in, but that's not where I naturally went. I don't know if that's the right English, but there we are. I'm channeling, so things will come out topsy-turvy sometimes. Yeah, so this person's possibly receiving karma, which is lessons. And what could actually be happening here is that just your departure, your energy totally being, I'm seeing a vision of a rug just being pulled underneath them. That is their karma. And now they see you in the light they probably should have seen you before. Perhaps this person's used to treating people a bit like a doormat, so you don't realise that the doormat is missing until it's not there. It's landing on top of materialism, so I think this person possibly chose materialism above you, or if it wasn't materialism, just what is accepted in a sort of worldly 3D way over what their heart actually wanted. And if it's not their heart, it's just they're very image focused. Is the feeling I get. But yeah, you're in a divine calling, divine soldiers here, and obviously soldiers, they do battle, don't they? So you probably you yourself, is part of your mission is to battle, possibly with lower frequencies, and succeed. And that doesn't mean like, I don't condone violence. That's about alchemy, alchemizing emotions, feeling them and transmuting them. I'm too old for these games came upside down. So you were dealing with somebody who, again, I believe is very 3D, hasn't exited the matrix, possibly does power games, power play, all their heart roots are in fear, and manipulation, things like this. But it's upside down, so they haven't actually realised that they're too old for these games. But perhaps through your awakening, if it's an awakening, or just your realization, is that you've come to understand that you're too old to hang around watching people play games. You don't want that. I did just see a flash of Leo. Yeah, so you don't want any more breadcrumbs. Perhaps you didn't even recognize they were breadcrumbs because they were quite tasty, and maybe you come from a trauma background, and before they weren't as tasty when you were given breadcrumbs, so you're like, oh, it's delicious, but you've come to realize different now. If you have a mother figure that's passed over Rainbow Bridge, or it doesn't have to be a mother, it could be an auntie, sister, grandmother even. Spirit wants you to know that they're with you. Perhaps they helped you make this realization. Please, for the highest good of all, allow the messages to fly out that I need to know the most, so I can channel the message in God's will. Okay, so what's come out here is they'll be sorry, and my energy is feeling like, and true love is here, they already are. They just, I'm feeling to say that they always were sorry. Yeah, that was always the case. Okay, so you're if you know it or not, you are some kind of witch, shaman, healer, and very often when you're working in that kind of level of vibration where you are psychic and you pick up on energy, and it doesn't mean you're perfect or you've never made a mistake or you're better than anyone, but nevertheless, when you do play around in somebody's energy that is this, karma comes back very quickly. I'm hearing instantaneously, if that's even a word. And karma comes back anyway. You don't need to be you don't need to be working in the spiritual realm. That's just the law of the universe. But it comes back a lot quicker, and especially if somebody was supposed to be in your true love, like truly love you, or your true love. Yeah, I don't know, I've been led to say that. So, and then maybe these people or that person is starting to recognize that. Perhaps this person kept you on the shelf for a rainy day or something, all these people. Yeah, so you've taken back your power. You've taken back your power, and try not to feel, I don't know, sort of, perhaps you're still in this healing energy where I feel like maybe you feel bad, or you wish you realised sooner, and all of those sorts of things. But you agree to all of this, and it takes as long as it does. And like I said at the beginning of the reading, sometimes it can take like lifetimes. You know, some people go 20 lifetimes without realising what's actually around them. You could be dealing with a Libra, or you could be a Libra again. It could be highly aspected in your charts, but ultimately I think you're now finding balance. Spirit's helping you find balance. Please allow the messages to fly out that I need to know the most to help me channel this reading. Yeah, so I think you have people in your energy that thought that you're going to love them always and forever, and I feel like you will. But they didn't realise that didn't mean that you're not going to be around always and forever. You're not always going to be the doormat, just sitting there for them to wipe their feet on. And I honestly, the energy I'm picking up on today, I don't really believe you will stop loving these people, but you just need to do it at a distance now, and recognise that energy just isn't conducive to where you need to go now. So definitely karmic friendships are involved here. So family, friends, could be work colleagues, it could be high-level soulmate, twin flame, karmic. But ultimately it just wasn't good for you. Yeah, so this for me is the God card that's flown out. So try to focus on the God within you, the God, the light within you. divine timing, all those good things, and it will help this healing transition. Yeah, so perhaps you're in an energy now where you're getting organized, you're starting to think about what it is you want to do next. So Spirit's asking you to make lists. For me, I always do 5 minutes or 10 minutes at a time. You'll be surprised how much you can get done just by and because the written word is very powerful. Once you write things down, Spirit can sort of help you better. So I think that's why Spirit is sort of pushing you. If you're not already doing this, it's a sort of a tick, and if you aren't, it's a little sort of nudge to say start writing things down that it is that you want to pursue. Yeah, so you're going to be much more secure in yourself if you're not already, without these energies around you. And I just got the energy of you know, if you're having lots of weeds around you, and that doesn't mean these people were weeds, it means that the energy for some reason, whether it's frequency or it was your karmic lesson, God, my throat chakra's been attacked. It wasn't conducive to your development. Okay, so we've got job offer again, and we've got writer, and I was literally just saying write down lists. So that could very well be part of your journey. You're going to write about your life or the things that are going to help other people, or it could be simply that, you know, they want you to start journaling, they want you to start getting connected in that way. Think about your dreams, think about what your missions are, and you know, if you're in that meditative state, Spirit will tell you, if you don't, you know, if you're not completely sure right now. So yeah, you could definitely get a job offer in something to do with words, or you're starting a project to do with words. But if that really doesn't resonate for you, it could simply mean start writing down things that you need to be doing. Okay, so we're getting up to the 30 minutes, so let's allow. Yeah, and whilst you're doing this writing down and doing these kind of things, know it's already yours. What you want wants you. That's how the universe works. And it's, of course, that's not as easy when you've been around energies that sort of make you feel like less, but you have remember that you've let go of these energies that have made you feel powerless. God made you. Okay, God made the stars, they made the moon, and they made you. So hopefully that will allow you to step into this better energy where you can believe what you want wants you. Yeah, so perhaps you're around people that gossiped, you know, that's again, it's quite a low vibrational frequency gossip, and that's now been taken away from you. Yeah, and people that were into manipulation, so it's a good job you're not in that energy, you know, have that energy around you as much. I did want to pull some tarot, but time's just run away. Yeah, so you're going to be more in the moment now. Perhaps even write love letters to the divine when you're doing these lists, you know, like gratitude. Gratitude is a great frequency as well as peace. Yeah, so just be wherever you go, just know God is looking after this, looking after you. And if you don't believe in God, higher power, just focus on your peace. You could feel a bit of sad and lost, but I think this is more the energy that you've left behind. But of course, you've done something big here, or you're going to do something big here, like you've literally weeded a very heavily weeded like a garden full of weeds. So you're going to feel a little bit pooped, worn out. But look for the signs, because you're going to have the Spirit's going to give you lots of signs, whether it's angel numbers, feathers, coins, synchronicities, and it's just a little nod from the universe to tell you that you're on the right track. Possibly even in this video, the same thing has happened. yeah, so to try and take some nature walks, you know, really breathe that air in. If you can't get into nature, a park will do. Yeah, so people just thought you were soft, essentially, and that's what was happening. And unfortunately, when people think things are soft, they can they sit on them because they're soft. That's what I've been told to say. Yeah, so try to put, when you're doing your meditations and things like that, try to put your hands over your chakras and ask for light to go in there, because I feel like there has been some damage, maybe not damage is the right word, but to your lower chakras, whilst being in this environment. And just know that these people didn't deserve to be in your energy. Again, I really want to emphasize, it doesn't mean that you're better. It just means that the frequency was different, and it was your time, your lesson had been learnt. Yeah. And although everyone is fallible, it kept you around in environments that you just didn't belong anymore. And that's, you had to learn the art of discernment, and if you haven't learnt it yet, spirit is teaching you. And it's because these people or person or places or things, they were changing your vibration. They haven't changed your vibration, but you've been through a bit of a war zone here, and now your vibration can recalibrate and go back to its natural position. Thank you for being here. Archangel Michael, please bless the collective and myself. So mote it be.